Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. How are you today? We are back. It's another Wednesday. We are live. Let's go live over here on Instagram. Give that a second to join in. We have a wonderful guest today, and I'm so excited to have her because this will be the first time that she is on the live with us, which is always super duper exciting. Sorry, I think I'm shaking my computer here. Hold on. I'm trying to get into Instagram so I can see your messages. Okay, we're good now. So we have a wonderful guest today to talk about a brand new event coming up that you are going to want to join. We're going to talk all about it. You can ask any questions. Reminder, if you are joining on Instagram, please put a name in or where you're from or something, because I just see your handles. It doesn't always match up to your name. Sometimes it doesn't match up on Instagram, or excuse me, on YouTube or Facebook either. So it's always great to throw your name in there if you can. All right, let's just bring her in, because why are we waiting? Today we have Tamara of Moogly. How are you, Tamara?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
I know, it's so great to see you here today. Tamara and I have known each other for a little while. We've only actually met once in person, but it was still a great time. That was a while ago. Goodness
Right?
gracious,
I
time
know.
flies.
We've been in this for a while.
Yes, just a little bit. You a
Okay.
lot longer than me, but it's all fun, so we
Yeah.
can't complain. Um, but so why don't you, since this is the first time you are joining us live, give everybody a little recap of how you got started in crochet, and a little bit about your business and your journey.
Okay. Sure. So my name is Tamara Kelly, and I run mooglyblog.com, which depends how far we want to go back, right? Way back then, I tried to launch a mommy blog. Not my thing. I enjoyed blogging, but I don't know. Maybe the storytelling wasn't my thing, I guess. But so that kind of sat dormant for a while. And then my youngest went off to preschool, and I said, okay, it's time to start doing something. And I said, what do I love doing? And I loved crocheting. So I started kind of changing the blog over to crochet. I started selling some finished items. I think that's the thing most crocheters do, right? When they say, I crochet and I need to
Usually,
make a little
yeah.
cash, need to make some grocery money. I'm going to sell my finished objects. That's what I was doing, just like everybody. And I was too broke to like be putting them on even like Etsy or anything like that. So I was just using the blog basically and Facebook to promote. And because the blog was like $8 a year.
Yeah.
And so that's how that started. Luckily for me, I got noticed by some actual crocheters, not just people who like to buy crochet. And they started saying, but hey, can we get the patterns? And I thought, well,
Mhm.
I'm a crocheter. I know I'm not going to, go out and buy crochet things. I'm going to say I can make that myself. So I thought, let's give it a try. I started putting up a couple patterns, and it just kind of took off from there. So very lucky, very blessed, very happy about that, because I will tell you, I was getting a little tired of making the same two or three things over and over again.
Yes.
But it's just taken off from there, and it's been such a joy and such an amazing journey.
Yeah, I mean, you've really done it all along the way, from selling items to writing patterns. You do phenomenal tutorials over on your YouTube channel. So if
Thank
you
you.
don't follow Tamara, please follow Moogly everywhere. You'll find a lot of great content. And like, Tamara has so much free content as well that you can just go check out. You can try out so many great things. And I'm so excited that we get to work with you this year on your year-long blanket. And
Yes,
this has
yes.
been going on for a couple of years now, correct?
Yes. The Moogly Crochet Along officially started in, I believe, 2014. So
Okay.
we are well into it at this point. And it all started because when I was learning to crochet, I came across a free crochet along on Ravelry. And I thought, ooh, what a great, and they were doing 12-inch
Mhm.
squares, and they were doing, I think it was one a month. And I thought, well, this is a great way to improve my skills and, give myself a little direction. So I went ahead and joined. I soon realized one square a month wasn't cutting it. I was adding in more, I was going out and finding more squares. And then when I started Moogly, I did a blog post about like, oh, I made this crochet along a couple years ago. And I got a bunch of responses saying, oh, I would love to do something like that. So I thought, let's give that a try. And lo and behold, here we are, 11, 12 years later. 24 different designers
Yeah.
over the course of the year. Every 2 weeks, you get December to basically take off, but put it all together and work on everything else we know you have to do in December, right? But yeah, so it basically runs January through the end of November. And then, like I say, we spend December putting them together and showing them off. And it's just been such an amazing journey over the years to see how there's a Facebook group associated with the Crochet Along, and that's really grown huge. so wonderful to see just everybody's interpretation of the squares every year, every 2 weeks, and just really all come together. It's funny, I make the square ahead of time to show off at the same time as the designer does, so that automatically people get two versions of the square to see. But then I go over to the Facebook group and I'm always like, oh, I like theirs better. So
Yeah.
there's always, that grass is greener on the other side. But yeah, it's just such a joy to see everybody's interpretations.
Yeah, I love I think that's my favorite part is looking at the different color palettes that people
Mhm.
put together because it can make such a huge difference in the colors
Oh,
that you're picking. Or, some designers I know do a ton of color changes,
yeah. Mhm.
and then some people pick up that same square and do it all in one color. And it's just amazing how different you can make things look just based off of the colors that you're picking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because I know I'll pick up my color palette at the beginning of the year, decide what I'm going to use. By the end of the year, I'm always ready for something so wildly different. So
Yeah.
every year to year, I get a completely different blanket too. But I'll admit, sometimes I go through that group and I say, who has a really pretty color palette that I can kind of borrow for my next one?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So we should say too that this year you are using Brava yarn as the main yarn for the pattern. It is a crochet along, so you're going to be making crochet squares the entire time.
Yes.
Um, and this is a free thing, so you can
Hmm.
join in whenever you want. I love too that you have so many options of squares. So, like Tamara said, there are two a month that come out, and so you really have the opportunity to either use each of the squares, or if there's one that you love, you can make like 5 of those and sprinkle them through your blanket, or however you really want to do it.
Yeah.
It just there's so many unique ways that people end up putting it together at the end.
Yeah, and one of the great things is because we do have all these past years now, if you do, a square comes up, you're like, ooh, that one's just not my vibe. We've got, 10 years of squares to look back on. That's 240 plus squares for you to go through and pick another one. I bet you'll find another one that you love. And definitely we have some people who, I don't know how they do it, but will make like an entire baby blanket out of each square by making several of them. So it's
That's
really
awesome.
neat. Yeah.
I love
Um,
it. Um,
but okay,
yeah,
so
there
let
is
me,
a question.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. There's a question here. Yes, it is Bravo worsted. That's what you're going to need. So let's tell everybody how many colors they're going to need, or how many colors you picked for your blanket.
Well, see, that's the fun part. You get to use however many colors you want. Some people do it all in one color, and those are so elegant and beautiful in their own way. Some people, stash bust, it's a riot of colors. This year, and every year I use a different number of colors too. There's been years I used, I think, as few as 4, but I like to have a few to choose from. Let me get mine sort of lined up here in the box. This year, I'm going to be using 6.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're going to look so great
Aren't they
together.
pretty? Last year's colors, I went really sort of Art Deco jewel toned. So this year I was ready for something light and bright. And so we've got, I think, denim and cream and seashell and fig. And this one is custard and espresso. So little, got the espresso and the blue in there for a little bit of darker colors. But I think overall this one's going to be really, really bright and springy. And I
Yeah.
think Bravo worsted is going to be a really lovely yarn for it too. I always like to use a worsted or Aran weight acrylic for mine. But of course, people can mix it up, use wool blends, whatever. And every once in a while, we have somebody do it in like a DK weight. And if you do it in a DK weight yarn, your squares actually end up 10-inch squares. So you can still make
Okay.
a blanket. It's just going to be a little smaller, or you might want to add some more.
Right. I love that. I love that. And yeah, I love too that the way you've done it every year, the squares are always the same size.
Mhm.
So they really are interchangeable. So if
Yes,
you've
yes,
always loved one, or, you could start doing it and picking one from every year that you kind of carry over, or something along those lines. There's so many different options for what to do. So when
absolutely.
does the crochet along officially start?
Well, our quote unquote kickoff day is December 31st. That's the day I will have I will do a big live that day on YouTube, and I will just go right through all the details and the whole schedule and everything that's going to happen down to the nitty gritty. But I believe our first square this year is, I want to say January 8th. Is that you know what? I'm kicking myself now for not having a calendar in front of me. Let me pull up my calendar here and
That
go
would
to
be a
next month.
Wednesday.
A Thursday, the 8th,
Thursday.
January 8th. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
can
had to double check.
punctuate my head.
Yes, the 8th. So yes, it'll kick off January 8th. That will be our first square. And a new pattern will release every 2 weeks. I'll have a blog post up about it on Moogly, and of course, I share it all over social media. And the my post goes over how I found the square, any tips for the square, my version of it, so you can see a different colorway. It's got the whole schedule on every post, so you can go back to past squares as well. And then it talks a little bit about tips for the square, and then of course it links out to the square. The square pattern itself, I feel like I'm saying square a billion times. The block pattern itself resides on the designer's blog. They own their pattern, that's still theirs, but we work together to help promote it. And then, like I say, if you love the square, awesome. If you don't, we've got 240 other squares for you to pick from. And then every 2 weeks, a new square will come out. So most months it's 2 squares. I think there's 2 months out of the year where you end up with 3 just because of the way the weeks work. But the very last, it's always on a Thursday. So every 2 weeks on a Thursday, but then the very last square comes out a day early because it's the Wednesday before American Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
we have the very last square come out the day before Thanksgiving so that people have time to download it, print it out, take it with them as they head to grandma's house for the holiday.
I love it. There is another question here. Is there an overall theme for the blanket?
There is not. No, every designer just comes up with their own design. We've had everything, center out, floral, traditional squares. We've definitely had some very funky ones, corner to corner, just stripes back and forth. Let me pull out just a couple of the ones from past years.
Sure.
So here's a couple of the ones from 2025 that, again, I haven't put mine together yet, so I just still have them in squares, but like this is one of the most recent ones.
Mm-hmm.
This one was designed by Polly Plum. And then sometimes we have mosaic. We had a gorgeous mosaic square this year.
Yeah, I love there's so many different techniques that you can learn and experiment with. And it's a small enough project that, again, if you're, for example, you've never done mosaic and you're trying it for the first time and you're working it and you're like, ooh, I'm not figuring this out right. It's not my thing. Skip it. Make 2 of another one. Go back to another year and find a square to swap it out with. This is a great way to have a sampler of sorts, but it's more than a sampler because there's so much more involved in it.
It's going to be a sampler of techniques, a sampler of designers. One of the things I love about it is a lot of people go out and find a new designer that they've never worked, made one of their patterns before, and they fall in love with their designs. And I do encourage you, if you're having a little bit of trouble, go ahead and join that Facebook group. It is so supportive, and everybody else in there is making the same square at the same time. So if you have questions, you can be like, gosh, I just don't understand this corner.
Right.
There's going to be 30,000 other people in that group who are also making that square and can say, oh, I figured it out. This is what it is. So it's really helpful. Or if you just, need help with your color layout, so many good suggestions in there, just a really supportive group. So I do encourage people who are newer to crochet, once you've got the basic stitches down, don't be afraid to join this crochet along. Some of the squares are going to be more advanced for sure, but others are going to be super simple. It's going to be a whole variety. You never know what you're going to see every 2 weeks, and it's going to push you to increase your skills. When I did the one when I did the one on Ravelry, when I was still a hobbyist, that's what I loved about it. I realized by the time I finished that crochet along, my skills had really expanded, and that's when I want to be able to provide to other people as well.
Yeah. And I love too that, they have the option that they can work along every month if they want to and make the squares, or they can just save them all up and make it a December project or something along those lines and just work it all at once. So you really have that flexibility. And I really do. I have met so many new designers following along with your crochet along over the years that I didn't know before. It's so amazing. The community is so great and so wide that we're always finding new people. So I love that part of it too.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, I always say I think it's good for me too, even as a designer now, two to 3 times a month, I have to sit and follow somebody else's instructions. It keeps my mind sharp too. You know what I mean? And sometimes it gives me that, oh, that's a much better way to put that. I'm going to steal that wording,
Right.
So it's just a lot of fun. And it's just so fun to see how it all comes together every year and to see what every designer comes up with. And of course, we mix it up. We've got some returning designers this year, but a few new ones as well. So
That's awesome. And so
Yeah.
let's go back to the yarn for a second. So
Mhm.
since there are different designers, since it is kind of a mystery crochet along in a sense and things like that, what are we telling people, or what are you telling people, I should say, about what kind of yarn they should be getting, or how do they know how to follow along? Is that all coming out on the 31st, or how exactly is that
Yes.
working for them to prepare?
Well, of course, you can always look at past crochet alongs because we do try to keep it really consistent. So the information isn't going to change in a lot of ways. Definitely this year we are using, different yarns. Every year it's a different yarn. This year, like I say, I'm using Bravo worsted. The designers are going to have a few more options though. So they get to pick from Bravo worsted, Switch worsted. I had to write them down. Jimmy Bean's wool, beanstalk, Madtosh vintage, and Barocco vintage. So I think it's going to be really lovely. The great thing is all
Mhm.
these yarns are about the same weight, worsted Aran weight yarns. So they should all work really well. I wouldn't necessarily mix them all in one blanket. I suggest you pick one and stick with it for your whole blanket. Or if you are going to mix up, if you've made other squares in past years and you want to try a different yarn, I would Bravo worsted will mix really well with some of the other
Mhm.
Aran worsted weight acrylic yarns that are on the market. So if you have past squares and you want to try something new, I would say the Bravo worsted of those would probably be your best bet. But if you're somebody whose lifestyle allows for a wool blend blanket, then absolutely we've got
Yeah,
some gorgeous options there too. I've
I know
got
that
pretty
does
much,
not fly in my house. They have to
yeah.
be washable and easy to care for.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what I use. But of course, people can use whatever they want. I keep hoping one day somebody will do it in thread. You see those people who do the little granny squares in thread. It's not going to be me. These old eyes
No.
cannot handle it. But I kind of hope someday somebody does because I'd love to see it.
That would be amazing, but yeah, not even just the eyes, but, like, your hands and having to
Oh yeah,
work so small. No,
no,
no, fingering is my limit, like, and that's pretty thin too, like, "No, we're just gonna stick here."
exactly. Oh my.
Yeah, so I absolutely love that. So people can start getting their yarn now if they want to.
Mhm.
And again, this is something that's great because we know when you buy a blanket's worth of yarn, it's a lot of yarn. And
It
you're
is.
kind of buying, sometimes if you're buying a kit or something else, it's all at once. This does give you the option that you can buy just a little bit to start with and kind of keep adding to it. I love the fact too that, you showed us the 6 colors you picked. So let's say we get to summertime and you're like, "Oh, I'm just done with these colors." You could bring in different colors or change it out
Absolutely.
and maybe keep one or two the same and then have the rest of them be like a fall, a winter, a
Mhm.
spring, a summer addition to it to kind of really help as well. Almost like a temperature blanket, but more of
Mhm.
like, this is the season I made it in.
Oh yeah, no, I think that would be amazing. That's a gorgeous idea. Yeah, tons of things. Now I do the only thing I do recommend is if you decide you do want to make the whole blanket in one color and you're going to use a yarn with a
Yeah,
dye lot, then buy it ahead of time. You definitely want to get
correct.
it all up front. But otherwise, I think especially even if that you do end up with slightly different dye lots, by the time you've got a blanket, with a lot of colors, it's
Right.
gonna disappear.
Right. And then so how are the squares joined at the end? Is this a join as you go type of thing, or will you seam everything at the end?
That is up to you. Strictly
Okay.
speaking, the squares are all independent. I have seen people take the time to start attaching them to each other as they sew them or as they make them. I like to make them all and then be able to lay them out and see how I
Yeah.
want the layout to be. I don't necessarily want them to be in the order that they came out for the year. You can do it
Right.
that way if you want to. I like to lay them out. And then the joining method is up to you. I actually have a blog post on Moogly with, I want to say, at least 14 different joining methods out there. You could, of course, sew them together. There's crochet joins of all different styles. I tend to use sort of a flat braid or a tight braid join myself, which I
Mhm.
think is a really nice join for blankets like this because the different squares are going to have different stitch counts. I don't require a certain stitch
Right.
count along each side. So I
Okay.
do recommend a crochet join that has a little bit of lace to it, if you will. Like there's a Celtic lace join is another popular one. Um, and that's just that way you can fudge a little bit. Like,
Right.
So typically I make 14 loops along each side. I've done it enough years now. I already know it's going to be 14 loops along each side. And usually that means skipping 2 stitches in between each single crochet to make those loops. But sometimes I'll
Okay.
skip 3, sometimes I'll skip 1. And that
Right.
allows me to have that little bit of fudge and that movement between the squares. It'll help pull them out to square, but it will also allow them to be slightly different sizes if necessary.
Right, right. And then what happens with the border at the end? Is that something that you're designing and giving out at the end, or are there other designers giving input into that as well?
Again, that is a pick your own adventure. There's a ton of great border designs already out there. And again, I've got some great borders up on Moogly as well as some posts with some other borders. But yeah, I mean, like Edie Ackman, for example, is another
Mhm.
designer. And while I haven't gotten her design for the crochet along yet, she does have entire books of just edgings and borders. So I feel like, yeah, I've got at least one of them myself. And then there's just so many choices. And I feel like colors, joining, and edging, and really how you assemble your blankets is where you get to sort of choose your own adventure and really customize it and make it your own. Because we make 24 squares over the course of the year. So I and a lot of people make a 4 foot by 6 foot blanket, a little bit bigger once you've added the joints and the border. But you don't have to. Some people will turn that into 2 baby blankets. Some people will turn them into a whole bunch of pillows to give their family. Some people get real creative, and I've seen, people want to do sweaters out of them. The best one I've seen so far in 2025, somebody turned theirs into a tree skirt.
Oh,
They
that's
just kind of they
awesome.
left a hole in the center and a seam and just kind of had it pixely around the edges, if you will.
Yeah,
Hard to describe, but it was really, really beautiful and such a great use for the squares. So,
that
well,
is really
yeah,
awesome.
that's part of the fun of it. We're crocheting along together, but once you've got your squares, what you do with them is up to you. And I love seeing the creativity. And if a lot of times too, if 4 foot by 6 foot is kind of a weird measurement for you, go back to past years, make one more square, and you can make a 5 by 5.
Okay, very nice. I love
So,
that. Yeah, and, making a modular blanket like this really does let you have whatever size you want to
yeah,
make or the way that you kind of put it together. Do you want it to be wider? Do you want it to be longer? You can really kind of mix and
yeah,
match and pick what you want to do, which is really great too, depending on who the blanket is going to be intended for in the
absolutely.
end.
Absolutely. Yeah. You could make it really any size. We've got so many years of squares. I think if you added them all together, we could probably cover the house.
Yeah,
Little tent.
I love it. I am so excited to see what colors people start to pick and put together. I can't wait for the first square to come out.
No.
Can you give us a little hint about who our first guest designer is going to be?
Well, let's just say those who've been following the crochet along for a long time know who usually goes first. They signed up for first again. So definitely
Amazing.
lots of returning people. So, yep. But like I said, some new ones
Amazing.
too. I'm very excited to see what our new designers come up with as well. Not that they're new designers, they're just new to the crochet along.
Right, new to the crochet along, right.
Yes,
I can't wait to see who's all on board this
yes.
year and see what they come up with because there are just some fantastic squares
Oh, yeah.
that come out of this every year that's so amazing.
Yes, yes. And it's just so fun because like I say, it's something for everybody. And if you don't, like that square, you don't, we always say you don't have to be rude about it. There's a bunch of other squares to pick from. Not everything's going to be to everybody's taste, but we can all crochet along together. And that is what that group is all about. And that's what this crochet along is all about, is just crocheting, coming together and making some beautiful squares over the course of a year.
Yeah. I love it. All right, did we cover everything? I think we covered the start date, we covered the yarn, we covered how it works.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anything we missed?
Okay, so if you do want to get all your yarn up front, if you're one of those people, I want all my yarn, I want it now, I do recommend you get, let me wrote it down, 4,420 yards of yarn. It sounds like a lot, but it's a big blanket, and how you divide that up among your colors is up to you. Do remember that if you are going to use, say, one color for all your joining and your border, if you're kind of thinking ahead that way, you might want to get a little bit more of that. So like I got these 6 colors, but I went a little heavier towards the cream because I know that's what I'm probably going to use to do all the joining of my squares together. So something to think about there. And like I say, and if you're not getting a dye lot or if you're using a lot of colors, then you can just get it as you go as well.
Yeah, I love that too because, again, it is great to have all your yarn at once. You just keep pulling from it. but
Yeah.
sometimes we want to switch it up. We want to add a
Yes.
color, change a
Yes.
color, or whatever else. So there is so much flexibility in this, and I love it. It's really about the community and getting
Mhm.
people together and chatting and talking what they like, what they don't like, how they do a stitch. I mean, we all hold our crochet hooks differently. We tension our yarn differently. There's so many things that we can learn from
Mhm.
everybody else. It's so exciting.
Yes, yes. I love
Um,
it. I get excited. I love
yeah.
kicking back and following somebody else's pattern in the evening, so it's all good for me too.
Yeah, there is a question about what does the finished blanket look like? We don't know yet. This is a
We
mystery. You're going to get
not
the
this year.
squares every 2 weeks, and you'll be able to put it together yourself, deciding on if you wanna make that square or not make that square, but it's not gonna be like you know what's happening until the very end.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm sure it's a mystery to me. I'm sure it's a mystery to some of the designers in the second half of the
Yes.
year yet, what they're going to make. So the only rules that I do give the designers some rules. I can go ahead and give you guys a sneak peek of what they have to do. Their rules are it has to be with a J hook. It has to measure 12 inches by 12 inches. It has to have at least one solid edge around the
Mm,
border. The last round needs to be a little flexible because we can use that last round to get to 12 inches or adjust if we
right,
need to, right?
right.
And it can't be overly holy or overly
Mhm.
thick. So I tell them, don't make it like a big thick wiggle crochet. A little bit of overlay crochet and stuff is good, but we don't want to go crazy thick and we don't want to go overly lacy because I really want all the squares to be able to work together. So
Yeah,
there's definitely, some are a little lacier than others, some are very solid, some have a little bit more overlay crochet, but I do try and keep it sort of within that range so that the squares will nicely work together at the end of the year. But and I ask them to use
yeah.
at least two colors so that we do have some color changes
Okay,
laid out for those who want them. Other than that, though, they have carte blanche to do whatever they like. So it's an adventure for
love
me
it.
just as much as it is for everybody else.
Love it. I am so excited to see how this year shakes out. I hope everybody goes and grabs their stuff and joins in. It's a lot of fun. It's just really fun. Even if you're not going to make every square and you just want to make 2 or 3 squares, it's still so much fun to join in and see what else is going on. Find some new designers, find some new friends. You're going to have a blast. I know you
Yes,
are.
yes.
So
It's a
thank
very
you
low
so
pressure.
much. Yeah,
Yeah,
very low. Yes.
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today and
Thank
sharing
you.
about this. Hopefully, we'll be able to get you back maybe halfway through so we can share how things are going and get people even more excited to finish out the rest of the year. But again, don't forget December 31st, mark it on your calendars so you can go ahead and check out Tamara's Live over on YouTube to talk all about the blanket crochet along. You'll
Mhm.
get all the information then that you're going to need. But yeah, get excited, get ready, finish everything that you have right now that's a whip so you can focus on your
That's right.
blanket.
Yes, it's the perfect little pick it up and put it down project to take you through next year,
Yeah.
and just always have something to look forward to.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you
Awesome.
to everybody for joining us live today. Hope you have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful week.
Thank you.
Reminder, we are taking 2 weeks off for the holidays. Go enjoy your holiday. Have fun. We're going to be spending time with family around here, with everybody at work taking some time off. So we'll see you in the new year. Happy New Year, almost everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. Have a great time and be with family, be with friends. It's that time of the year. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day. See ya.
Bye. Happy holidays.